Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Empires and Puzzles video. It's been a while since I've posted something like this, so I figured let's take a look at my base and roster and whatnot. I'm over 1 year free to play, so I think you might find it interesting what can happen when you do something like that. If you've ever wondered what Empires and Puzzles would be like with way more quality of life features, a dev team that listens to player feedback, and more value for your money spent, then download Gemstone Legends right now from the links in the description of this video to get yourself a free $50 starter bonus. I know it can be intimidating to start a new game like this, but between myself and other great content creators, there are tons of tutorial videos out there to make playing Gemstone Legends a lot of fun. The fact that they offer a $50 starter bonus to new players and have such great quality of life features are two big reasons why over 50,000 Empires and Puzzles players have already made the switch. It's awesome, and I look forward to seeing you there. So yeah, basically I still never finished leveling everything because iron in particular there was not much need for. They've shifted that a bit, but still not that big. So we'll look at buildings first and sort of work our way through. So these are the levels that I'm running here. Always good to have some extra backpacks if you're not farming as much. They are harder to get. And then the rest are just kind of for farming shards, and I'm doing this rare battle items one because it is a decent way to store food. So I kind of buffer this up to 100, and then when I have a leveling project, I'll drain it down again and then slowly fill it back up, and it gives me a little bit of buffered food, not quite enough, but I also have lots of crates, which we can look at in a bit. Usually I'll craft when my resources get full, especially when it's iron. Over here I've got some trainers sitting, waiting to be used. I ran out of tall boots or sharpening stones or whatever it is that you need for this level, so I hadn't been able to keep it going, and there was a weird bug where I had 400 of these sitting in there. I went to claim 5 with my 5 available roster spots, and it claimed all 400 and completely overloaded my roster, and they never took care of that as a bug. And then I do the legendary hero. Figured maybe I'll get something. I think the best thing I've gotten out of there was glass obacon, and I had 2 levels of the costume already, so that was the 3rd, and then I used the whatever the traveling outfit thing is where you pay 300 gems for a hero, and I got the toon version, so I was able to get all versions of that costume that way. Let's see. Yeah, battle items I talked about. We'll look at that stuff later. So over here I'm actually running a TC20. Let's see if we... yeah, as you summon less, the fodder for the soul exchange diminishes as well, so I figured what the hell, I'll get this thing running on the side. I haven't had enough recruits to get all my backpacks going. Like I have one TC11 in the back here, got backpacks going here, but only for 6 more days, so I am starting to run out of feeders, which is a significant issue. So we had 20 there, 68, so we'll just call that 100, and under 7,000, so that's like 7,050 feeders maybe, which is not a lot considering that you have just the normal leveling, then the first Ascension leveling, and then if you're gonna double limit break, a really good hero that you got, which you probably should do, that's a lot of resources. They've really increased the cost of leveling a hero and have not compensated us any differently, so it's fairly costly. And then if you have a goddamn costume you want to double limit break, it's like you got a level 4 costumes. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. So that's actually probably my biggest problem. I have tons of mats, which we'll look at in a bit as well, but I'm gonna run out of feeders because I just can't bring myself to farm as often as I would need to. Atlantis, I'll use loot tickets and stuff. Yeah, what else is going on here? Not much else, I guess. So we'll take a look at the heroes. I So there's the Obicon I was working on. I'm trying to decide if I want a double limit break. I have gotten lucky on a few, free single pulls. I got this guy off of my tokens for completing the first 25 levels of the tower, which is pretty cool. Average speed, which I don't love for offense, but beggars can't be choosers. Some other stuff sitting here is, things that I might consider leveling. Haven't really decided yet. A lot of them are just getting more and more underpowered by the day. So we can kind of scroll here. I also got the green Ascension Mimic today. If someone can tell me how that works, it says you have an extra chance of loot if you use it in farming. And I just wonder if someone totally knows how that works. But I managed to get a lot of these Mega Minion heroes all for free. And yeah, looking at resources will probably be more interesting. This was one of my better pulls, also for free. Still average, but one of the best heroes on my best rating team. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. But you can see my top choices here are definitely falling behind in terms of how quickly things are moving, and I am not even close to having a meta defense or maybe a couple somewhat meta offense teams. I'm going to post my War of Three Kingdom attacks as well, so you can get a better glimpse into my roster. But I just don't have a lot of great options. You can see we're already in like massively outdated territory here. My poor 3 costume Ariels that never got the costume bonus they deserved. That's actually, those stats are just bad now. They're not limit broken, but feeders are a problem. So down here are like heroes I don't ever use unless it's like the master emblem thing or something like that. And then we're starting to get into some 4-star territory. So anyways, that's kind of where my roster's at. It's fallen behind as the game just exponentially speeds up. What else would be interesting to look at? I still complete most of the events. This one is such a pain in the ass how you have to do every level. Okay, so we looked at heroes. I guess let's check out resources and stuff. I can't think if there's anything else. Alliance is still doing pretty well. We're at like 22 members. And that just seems to be increasingly common, but everyone still seems to be having a good time. All right, so let's check out the inventory. I guess I can show you troops. That might be interesting. I do not have many legendary troops. Haven't done much with troops recently. Again, it's also a problem of feeders and just a little bit of a motivation thing. So I'll show you where we're at. I still need to convert a blue. I just can't decide which classes I would most benefit from. So a little bit of option paralysis there. So I've basically got one of each color, and I have more that I could convert. Like I leveled some heroes up for conversion. I just haven't done so yet because, again, it's kind of difficult to choose when you have so few. But that's where my troops are at. Got tons of 4-star feeders and stuff that are just sitting around that'll never get used. They'll be used for leveling them. So those are troops. Let's see, battle items I've always had quite a lot of, if people remember. So yeah, I don't do the Mythic Titan every time, but I try to do it. Usually what I do is go for like 4 or 5 big hits, and hope that's it. I do not want to use all 12 hits. It's not an event I enjoy, so it's mostly like, all right, what's the least amount of time I can put in to try to have a chance at some loot. But as my Ascension items grow, which you'll see in a second, there's less of a need for that, and I've got tons of emblems too. Just a quick reminder, I saw in comments on one of the other videos I posted that some people aren't even playing and still watch the videos. So I have another channel dedicated to more just talking about interesting facts of life, cracking jokes. It's me and my best friend. So if you're interested in kind of just hanging out and conversations that might be more relevant if you're no longer playing the game or less interested, then check that out. I'll put a link in the description, but it's at Men Search for Meaning right here on YouTube. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of takes my same analysis that I would apply to the game, which I think is what a lot of people enjoyed about my channel, but does that to more relatable aspects of life. So if you're interested, check that out as well. All right. Yeah, super mono, we get tons. Time stops, tornadoes still over 1,000, tornadoes over 1,500. So you can see I often have a lot of leftover resources I'm not using, which I then put into crafting items instead of letting them sit there full. On Titans nowadays, I usually use mono potions, time stops, tornadoes, and then either antidotes or giant harpoons, depending on what's needed. We still go for the first level of Titan parts, tier 1. And the only thing I really craft from those are harpoons and scrolls of alteration if I have a bunch of extra resources. So, Ascension materials. Almost over 20 of each, tomes and Damascus blades. Up to 46 tonics, which I'm sure somebody watching this is quite jealous, as they probably have one or more green heroes they would like to ascend and they have no tonics. But yeah, this is what happens when you're not spending money on summons anymore. You acquire these mats quite slowly, and the heroes you get to use them on are few and far between. And I could still run out of feeders, or I would very easily run out of feeders before I even came close to utilizing all these materials, which is kind of unfortunate. All these ones are up pretty high. Still gotta find a use for my 59,000 practice swords and 72,000 rugged clothes. All right, what's going on over here? Never used a single booster, I don't think ever. Tomes of experience, I gotta start remembering to use those. I don't level that much, but to try to save some feeders, because there's no reason to stockpile 17 of those. Tomes of limit break, I haven't used those. Legendary Tome of experience will definitely come in handy. Tome of Ascension is useless to me, which is also quite unfortunate that I have 3 of those. We got quite a lot of crates, 487 500k food crates. That's a lot of food. 246 500k iron crates. Coins are going to be pretty low. Got some Untold, Valhalla. Those have probably all been sitting in the 90s for a while because I don't farm the stages anymore. But yeah, there's not much going on here. I don't think I've used one ether reset token. We'll probably need to use more of those, but again, it's really feeders that are the problem. They refund you food and your resources, but recruits, feeders, nothing. So that's going to be a problem, big problem for me one day. Emblems, gotta use more of these, but again, when you can only pick like one hero, it's difficult to choose. But I will use these more. Typically, if I get a brand new hero, I'll at least put a couple levels on them. Like if they're an attacking hero and the first 2 extra nodes are attack, I'll do those too. And, at some point I'll just use these more. But check out this emblem stockpile. Almost 10,000 rogue emblems. 40 golden emblems. It's just interesting to see how this stuff gets out of balance as time goes on. So if I had more feeders, I would level more heroes just for the heck of it, but I have to really be picky, so I'm only leveling the new best heroes I get that have the chance of sticking around and being relevant longest. I did get Glass Sarnia in the costume portal for free, but with 4 costumes, I'm not sure that that's the best use of feeders, especially for a slow hero that I'm probably not going to use on offense. Like, she can be a real hard hitter on defense, but that's a ton of resources needed, especially with limit breaks and stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, the very tight bottleneck for me is the lack of feeders. So yeah, some of you are probably drooling over these resources as I would have in the past as well. Almost forgot to show these for anyone curious. Costumes, if you're curious, just to see what I've gotten over time. I think I only have one glass costume, not two, because I got Obicon from the Hero Academy. I was gonna level up Aslar when I got another one, but now that the glass is out, that feels a little less relevant for a slow hero. Sarnia is the only one I think I got all copies of. So yeah, it's a lot of 5-star costumes that are never going to get used. So I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully that was an interesting check-in here, just to see where I'm at, how things go. As always, I do not do the missions, so there's quite a few here. I just don't care enough to try to get avatars. And some of them are ridiculous how much farming you have to do to get, so it would be nice to have the resources. I'm just not willing to dedicate that much time to it anymore. The payoff seems low. The game's moving at too quick of a speed. I'm not interested in being as invested, definitely with money, as I've not spent anything for well over a year, and with time as well. So yeah, is there anything else to show? We looked at all the buildings. We looked at the heroes. I guess some might be interested to see where I'm at. I did actually go through and finish this. There's no way in hell I'm going to do Deadly because it's too slow with how costly everything is. But I did burn through and do all these at one point. Here, almost nothing, and I just don't care. I want the coins because these heroes are insane. But again, it's just, do I want to dedicate the time? If I even got the heroes, do I have the feeders to level them? No. So kind of just cruising at this point. Anything else to show? We're on we kill all 14-star Titans. We kill 15s if they're rares or yellows. But a lot of people just don't want to dedicate the resources to taking down the big ones, and the loot hasn't been better for us. It seems about the same, so it's probably just a few percent points different. So anyways, this is probably a longer video than it needs to be. That's where I'm at with the game. Curious to hear about you guys as well, so let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions that I didn't answer here, something I just spaced on, I'll try to do that as well. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.